This is, as the cover would suggest, a biography of Tiger Woods. It should be noted that it was published prior to his most recent automobile accident, as well as his most recent Masters win. That being said, this is an excellent biography which explains just why Tiger was so feared on the golf course and why his personal life essentially destroyed his career. Disclaimer, like I have said in my previous review, yes, I do run a publishing company, and no, I don't believe I've published anything that would even remotely compete with this book. That being said, if you choose not to continue listening to my review, then that's on you. As for other books I've read on Tiger Woods, I did read a couple of years ago Hank Haney's book, The Big Miss, which talks about his time as Woods' swing coach. It should be noted that that is used as a source in this book as well. I don't think I've read anything else except for the occasional magazine article, as well as the extensive reporting on Woods' obsession with the special forces, that sort of thing, which also comes up in this book. Basically, the argument that the authors develop is that usually it's Woods' father, Earl Woods, who is given most of the credit, or for that matter, blame for Tiger Woods' personality, his use of techniques from the special forces, which the authors note would be considered to be child abuse these days, to make him the steely-eyed golf assassin that struck fear in the hearts of his competitors and made millions of dollars for himself, as well as for the golf tour and his fellow competitors in rights fees, purses, an entire new galaxy of opportunities for golfers in the early 21st century. It was not just Earl Woods that accomplished this feat of programming. It was his mother who developed his killer instinct on the golf course to take no prisoners and to always beat the other competitors. Now, I don't mind golf. I'll watch it occasionally, but it's not my favorite sport, so I was a little concerned when I started this book that it was going to be a long, shot-by-shot description of Woods' various victories. We do get some of that, but instead of going hole by hole or round by round, there's a nice mix of only describing the key events in his various victories, mostly focused on the Grand Slams, although the authors do point out that for Tiger, it isn't necessarily about Grand Slam victories. It more had to do with being a competitor who achieved various career goals younger than others. As for how the book is constructed, there's a lot of interviews here, although the authors are quick to point out that Woods and Woods' people refused to participate, so this is very much an unauthorized biography. This allows the authors to get into the more seedier side of Woods' personality. Yes, there's quite a bit here about his painkiller addiction, and yes, his various sexual activities, cheating on his wife, the going into therapy for sex addiction, and the like. Some of these descriptions are quite explicit, not something to be reading the kids as a bedtime story. Not sure I necessarily needed to know this sort of X-rated detail, although I do have to respect the authors for getting everything out there, so to speak. The book also is excellent at pointing out just what sort of a cultural force Woods was, particularly in the 90s, how much coverage he received, not just through the usual golf media, but also ESPN, and for that matter, mainstream magazines and the like, even pointing out various jokes about his picadillos on Leno and Letterman. It just proves that before the internet and cable completely fractured the media universe, it was possible for a few individuals and for a few stories to overwhelm everything else available, which is kind of odd looking back at it from 2021. Yes, I realize the pandemic would qualify, but it's amazing just how brightly Tiger Star shone and how massive the media circus was when he fell to earth. The famous incident over Thanksgiving with the first of his traffic accidents and his stepping back from golf. If there's one criticism of this book, is that there's a lot of Tiger thought or Tiger believed, which seems dubious simply because I wonder what sort of sourcing they're using for that, since, as already pointed out, this is most definitely an unofficial, unauthorized biography. It's a small criticism, but if you're a bit of a stickler, it may jump out at you. Now for my recommendation. Typically, if I like a book, it's a question of how frequently I'm going to be rereading it. For something like this, I definitely enjoyed it and will be rereading it. I get the feeling it'll probably be in the 2 to 3 year range, unless I decide to read a bunch of golf books for some reason. I could easily see pairing this with the Hank Haney book, since they seem to have the same sort of general attitude toward Tiger. That pretty much sums up my view of this book. A great look at a superior golfer, often with a dark side. The whole question of if that dark side was necessary to make him great on the golf course is one that the authors seem to struggle with, that the programming put in place by his parents also led to his destruction as far as his personal relationships go. If you enjoyed the review, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be back again soon.